Hi everyone, and welcome to week 8 of your Pharmaceutical Career Planning 2 course. This week we are covering chapter 15, which is all about federal pharmacy. When we think about federal pharmacy, you may not be exactly sure what that means, but it's any kind of pharmacy that is within the federal government. So typically, we're thinking more along the lines of military when we think of federal, but it really could be any pharmacy that impacts civilians or military. A lot of what you're going to see in this particular week's reading is all about the Department of Veterans Affairs and the pharmacies that are within the facilities that serve veterans, as well as those who are still active duty. So any type of healthcare services for branches of the military are covered by the Department of Defense. And I had to laugh when I read this because it talks about the 3 branches of the military. And as a Marine mom, I was a little bit put off by this chapter because it talks about the Army and the Navy and the Air Force. But for those of us who are Marine, we know that yes, the Marines are a part of the Navy, but in my opinion, we're the best part. So, as a mom who has a veteran Marine and one who is enlisting in the Marine Corps in just a few months, I just kind of got a little chuckle out of that part of this particular chapter. But the back to the pharmacies, the military pharmacies are typically in hospitals and clinics. They're going to be on base, but again, they are also going to be there within the VA facilities. So when we talk about veterans facilities, you're going to see them there too. So they go through and they talk a little bit about what military readiness is all about, what the pharmacists are going to be doing in case of an emergency, and then they get into specifics about the pharmacy within the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. And like I said, they talk about the 3 branches, but for those of you who do know anything at all about military, the Marine Corps is part of the Navy. So that's where it's covered, is in the information about the Navy, because the Marine Corps does not have their own medical. They have the Navy corpsmen who take care of the Marines. So anytime there's something that the Marines need, they go to the Navy. So anyway, just my little aside there. So they're going to talk to you a little bit about the history of the pharmacy within the Army. And then they talk about a little bit about what they do, and how they work and in what kind of facilities. And then they do the same for the Navy. And now they give you just a little tiny bit about, by the way, there's the Marines. And then of course we have the Air Force, and they talk a little bit about how the Air Force works and where the pharmacy is going to be working there. And then of course we're going to get into the things about the Department of Health and Human Services. So this is also part of federal, not just the military. So when we talk about the Department of Health and Human Services and the health care that's available, you're going to talk a little bit about pharmacy services there as well. We're going to see information about pharmacy services within the Indian Health Service community, and then of course within Veterans Affairs. And Veterans Affairs has obviously made news a lot lately, as far as what we do and don't do for our veterans, and the things that are provided there. If you have served in any branch of the military, this might be a way for you to maybe give back. If this is an area that you think you might be interested in, you might want to research any type of veterans facility near you. We have quite a few of them in the St. Louis area, and this might be something you're interested in. This is maybe not the highest paying job when it comes to pharmacy, but if you've ever been in a veterans facility, you might find that this is probably one of the more rewarding jobs that you could have. So as you go through and you look at all of these different categories, Keep in mind that basically what we're talking about here is anything that the federal government has their finger in, that would be federal pharmacy. So there's a lot, there's variety, everything from, active duty military to veterans to public health. But if you find something that you're interested in, this might be a way to give back. So if you have any questions as you read through this, please make sure you reach out and let me know. And have a great week.